Hare Krishna, everyone. This is acyuta-bhava from Nightlight Astrology. And today we are looking at the 15th mantra of the Sri Isopanisad. So if you've been following along with this series, then you know by now that we are taking a look at this classic Bhakti yoga text called the Sri Isopanisad. I've lovingly called it the Bhakti Upanishad. And let me turn the screen off so I can show you this book. Here's a copy of the book by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. You can pick it up on Amazon pretty easily and follow along, which I recommend doing as we go through each mantra. So today, like I said, we're going into the 15th mantra, which is the 16th installment in this series because we started with an invocation. The Upanishads, as you know by now, are the ancient philosophical summaries and commentaries on the Vedas. And the Sri Isopanisad is the Upanishad of the Lord. Isha literally means Lord, and this Upanishad was written in poetic verse and consists of 18 mantras plus an invocation. So mantra 15 today, and I recommend, if you can read along, say it out loud with me. It helps to actually kind of imbibe the sound vibration of the mantras, actually speaking them out loud. They're like prayers. O my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee. Let's read it one more time. O my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee. So let's take a look at Srila Prabhupada's purport. He writes, I just picked one sentence that I really liked. He said, the conclusion is therefore that in the absence of potent manifestations of the supreme truth, the impersonal Brahman is realized. What does that mean? What is the impersonal Brahman? And what does it have to do with this verse? Well, in Bhakti Yoga, although God has an impersonal form or quality, the personal form of realization is the highest. So what is the impersonal manifestation of God? You could say that it is the sense that absolutely flowing through everything is this energy of God. Or you could say that it is the kind of image of a blinding white light that everything and everyone merges into. The impersonal Brahman is the sort of undifferentiated oneness behind all things, this sense that at essence there is nothing but the pure energy of God. Now that form of realization is very important in Bhakti Yoga. It plays a big role because we have to understand that all of the distinctions and dualities in one sense are not real because they are all contained within God. It's very important to have an understanding of the impersonal level of God, the Brahman conception of God, because we also need to be able to look at the world and see God in everyone and in everything. We are all, as spirit souls, made in the image of God, you could say, or that we all are made of the same essential divine source. We all come from the same source and all have our essence in the same eternal source as God. And therefore, there is a sense in which there is nothing but God. There is no me, there is no you, there are no differences. There are no divisions, there's just God. So while that is considered to be an aspect of God, that is considered to be God's impersonal aspect, God's effulgence, God's light, God's essential energy, which is flowing through all things and which does unify all things. But the higher conception in Bhakti is that of that includes, but also goes beyond the impersonal conception. Let's read the verse one more time. O my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee. So the idea in Bhakti is that if we remain fixated on that impersonal, undifferentiated essence, what happens? we lose the ground of our own being. We lose the uniqueness of our own spirit soul. We lose the uniqueness, in other words, of the other. If there is the same, then there is also the other. And the other is also an aspect of God, wherein relationship is the medium through which we relate to God. And in Bhakti, while we always hold in mind that there is this essential unity, and while we feel and become aware of that essential unity, in Bhakti, we want to retain the sense of being an individual soul and of God being an individual being, through whom and with which we have relationship. And that relationship we want to have, and we can't have it until we also remove the feeling that God is nothing but white light, or God is just undifferentiated pure energy, or something like that. So think, for example, if you're dating somebody and someone is completely enamored with you, just completely gaga. They're seeing, through rose-colored glasses. And it's hard when someone is enamored with us, or it's hard when we're enamored with someone else, to really see the real person. When we're blinded by the light of someone else, you know what I mean? Then there's a way in which we aren't actually being able to enter into a relationship with that person. We want to merge with that person. We desire that thing. We want that thing. We want to be absorbed in the object of our desire. But it is a kind of, there's a bedazzlement and an enamorment that happens that we really have to remove at some point if we want to have an intimate exchange between two souls. We, in human beings and all souls, all beings everywhere, want intimacy, familiarity, depth, and personal connection from being to being, and with every being to God. And we can't have that if we're blinded by the light. And if we're so blinded by the light that we can't even remember that, hey, I'm a real person too. So if you think about it and you're out on a date and someone says, it feels like you're not seeing the real me because you just want, a relationship where you're idealizing me in some way. Well, if we think of God only as this sort of pure, perfect, essential, undivided white light, in a sense, that covers God's face, that covers God as a person, and that covers us as a person, because it's only through a personal relationship with our source that we understand who we are as individuals as well. So in Bhakti, we want intimacy, familiarity, depth, and personal connection from being to being, and from our being to our divine source. We want to connect to that sense of there being this all-pervading white light energy of God, but we also are saying, I know that you are someone infinitely personal, and please reveal yourself to me. Please reveal your true beingness and personal intimacy and closeness, and help reveal who I am as well. That's what we really, in Bhakti, what we really seek. There's two verses that really support this. One is in the Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna says, I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal and imperishable, eternal, the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. When you're sitting with a friend or a lover or a loved family member, and you're very, very happy and content with each other's presence, there's a way in which you bask in the glow. And that is a beautiful part of God, of the experience of God. Krishna says, I am the basis of that glowing sense of all unified oneness. However, he is the basis of it, which means that there is also a person that's there, a being that's there. And we want, and then Krishna invites us throughout the Gita to, as you understand and see the impersonal Brahman, the Brahman energy, go beyond it. Come to me personally. Come to me in your heart. Reveal yourself personally. I don't want you to just sit and meditate and try to somehow fade into that white light, because that's actually just it's kind of like a superficial covering. It's like my halo, right? But there's actually a person behind it, and come get to know me. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, similarly, my dear Lord, the impersonal, this comes from the fourth canto in the 24th chapter, 60th verse. My dear Lord, the impersonal Brahman spreads everywhere like the sunshine or the sky. And that impersonal Brahman, which spreads throughout the universe and in which the entire universe is manifested, is you. So here we have, again, this beautiful verse that's saying, I can see you. I can see that this kind of white light energy, that's one way that I'm so familiar to hearing people, I'm so familiar with that way of people speaking about it. That sense of God, there's some kind of divine intelligence. It's kind of abstract that if I think about it enough, I realize that that is the evidence of a being, that this is something that you're emitting, right? Think about it like that. It's really beautiful, and it draws us in to a more intimate personal space, which is why chanting is so important, because when we chant the names of God, we put our heart and our soul and we put something personal into it. The response we start to get back is personal, and the byproduct of that is that kind of that glow, that white light that surrounds us. But we don't want to get lost in that, because that's like it's shimmering off the surface of something much deeper, much more personal and intimate that starts happening when we pour our personhood into the chanting of the names of God. So that's what I've got for today. I hope that this episode was interesting. Keep chanting, and be sure to visit my video, Easy Practices of Surrender Mantra Meditation. That's a really good one. So I look forward to more soon. We've just got a couple of verses left. All right. Take care, everyone. Hare Krishna.